Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing. This is Cody. I'm here with Brett. Hasn't been on in a long time, poor guy.
Forever.
And yeah, forever. And we're here with the Fun Pod, the Foncast, and all good things. We're checking out a movie review this week. I don't know, Brett, anything you have been up to that you haven't mentioned recently?
Well, there is. I actually had quite an extensive list here.
Oh, wow.
I mentioned last time I've been playing through Pal World, and I really have enjoyed it quite a bit. I know a lot of people just call it like Pokemon with guns, and that
Yeah.
it really is kind of just that. Um, and what's interesting is I'm kind of playing this side by side because sometimes when I'm just like out in the living room with the rest of the family, um, I'll just pick up the Switch because I have Pokemon Sword on my Switch.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm like simultaneously playing Pokemon and Pal World at the same time,
Oh, wow.
and it's easy to like compare the two. And um, personally, I definitely enjoy Pal World more. I think there's a lot more going on with it. I think I do actually like the combat of Pokemon a bit better, but um it is what's funny is that they have seemingly uh made the conscious design choice to basically just give the middle finger to Pokemon because like almost all of their creatures look very very similar to something in the Pokemon world,
Okay.
and a lot of there's like mechanics and stuff that are and names that are very similar, and it's seemingly like they did that on purpose, knowing like that it would get a reaction. um but we also have been watching a show on Netflix called Slashers,
Okay.
um which they have 3 seasons out. And so it's one of those things where like I wasn't aware of this show, but they're 3 seasons in, so it's not like a new show, but it's essentially a serial killer anthology series.
Okay.
So each season has like a different story with a different killer. And we've watched through 2 seasons already, and it's been pretty good. We've been enjoying it quite a bit. Um, it definitely doesn't hold back a lot. There's some real nasty blood and guts stuff in this show. Um, and yeah, it I think the one big thing about it that kind of gets me is like both the first 2 seasons for me personally aren't a lot of characters that I like.
Hmm.
Like they're not likable characters. And so you get into situations where you're like, oh man, I hope this person dies soon. Just waiting on this person to get off. Um, but yeah, if you haven't heard that one, it's enjoyable. If that's kind of vibe in a show that you enjoy. Yeah, I would go recommend checking that out. We also watched a show called Run for the Money, which I after watching it, I felt like possibly that was one you had seen and recommended. It's
Hmm.
a Japanese game show where they basically dump all these contestants into an area and then let loose these hunters, they call them. um I'm guessing you probably didn't see it because otherwise you probably would have remembered it at this point, but
Yeah,
um
no.
I feel like somebody had like recommended it, but um it was pretty fun.
Huh.
It the one thing that kind of caught me right off the start is it's all dubbed because it's a Japanese show.
Okay.
And I thought it felt to me at the start like they were going almost for like an MXC kind of thing, where I was certain that this wasn't the words that they were saying for the people were not what they were saying. And because a lot of them were like very kind of like silly and like felt like kind of nonsensical. But having watched the whole thing now, I'm not certain that's true. I think maybe a lot of the dialogue was actually translated properly,
Okay.
um, but that was pretty fun to watch. It was like uh, basically they're trying to outlast that. If they can last to the end of the game, there's a prize of 5 million yen available.
Okay. 32 cents.
Which, yes, exactly. You're not far off. It's much less than that number sounds, um, but yeah, that was pretty fun. It's only 4 episodes, so it's one of
Oh,
those things
okay.
you can kind of just binge through it real quick if you're looking for something little snack size thing to watch. So,
Wow. Yeah, this looks like the trailer's playing on my screen. It reminds me of a little bit of Squid Games with like the masks and stuff.
mhm.
There was a show that came out in I don't remember when that was, maybe 10 years ago now. I don't remember what the name of it was either, but it was in America, but they had to like the contestants all left from the exact same point at the same time, but the goal was to like evade detection for as long as they could. Like they could hide anywhere, they could go in buildings, they could do whatever they wanted to.
Hmm.
But the other, like the team chasing them could use like surveillance cameras and like anything they wanted to. And
Okay.
like I didn't actually watch the show, but I thought I had seen that like they caught like every contestant within like 5 days or something. Like that was the longest anybody could stay off the grid was like 5 days,
Okay.
which
It
is
does sound
interesting.
like it's a bit of a similar concept. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to ask you on the slashers, is that historical serial killers or made up for the show?
Uh, Purely fiction, as far as I can tell.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure about that one. Wow. Okay. So you have been busy. Geez. I had to
Hmm.
double check because I knew Nintendo was in that lawsuit. Right. I guess
Right.
they just won that lawsuit, but that's a different thing going on, hey? This looks like the Yuzu emulator.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't aware of that one.
Oh, this is a Switch emulator makers agree to pay 2.4 million to settle Nintendo lawsuit,
Oof.
which was sounded like basically they were just finding a way to get the games posted for free without having to buy them. So,
Yep. Yeah, essentially.
okay, sweet. Well, that's a lot. I'll just do one short and one mildly larger for mine. I am on to my April book of the month already. That's right, overachiever here. And I'm finally getting to a book I've wanted to read for about probably 15 years, and it's Devil on the White City. I don't know if you've heard of that one before or not, but it's
Nope.
a story that is, I mean, it is a story that is taking place, but it's basically like historical fiction, and it's very heavily researched. And the plot, if you will, or the timeline might be a better word, goes back and forth between chapters of the people who were architecting the World's Fair in Chicago in 1892, and then the every other chapter is H. Holmes setting up his murder castle in downtown Chicago during the World's Fair.
Oh, okay.
And so far I'm only like 50 pages in, and they're like designing the blueprints for the city and the fair, and Holmes is like setting up some connections he has in the neighborhood after he moved there, and so it's going to be kind of interesting, but it's definitely one I've been interested in for a very long time. I just finally got around to getting the copy and starting to check it out. But I was found H. Holmes to be kind of a interesting serial killer, since you mentioned slashers there, just from like whatever he called it, the horror castle or whatever they called his hotel with all the secret passages and
Mm.
doors and bodies and things like that. So we'll see how that goes. And then P.S. subnote here, just finished my March book then, which was the Kaiju Appreciation Society, which I really, really enjoyed. Very funny book about giant monsters that live in an alternate parallel connected Earth, I guess. Earth adjacent to Earth. I don't know how that works exactly, but that was kind of a fun story too. Recommend that one. And then a big thing I did was went to North Carolina recently to go see the Stingers' last match in AEW, and that was quite an experience, I have to say. So I was saying before we hopped on the air, I had meant to do a solo episode. I just never got around to it, but it was funny because it was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and their airport is about maybe 20 gates, I would say, like, not that big compared to Chicago or someplace else. And so when my son and I flew, we had a wrestler and an interviewer on our plane with us going to
No.
Greensboro. And then we did like a day there. We watched the wrestling event. And then we had to get up the next morning for like a 4 o'clock I think I got up at 3:50. I slept 50 minutes on that
Oh
Sunday.
my goodness.
And because it was like we didn't get out of the wrestling thing till like 1:30, and like then I tried to go to sleep and I couldn't fall asleep, and I think I fell asleep at 3, set an alarm for 3:50, got up, woke him up, and then we had to leave to the airport to go through security to get to the plane flight, which was like 6:30 or something on time. But it was funny because I told him if we see any wrestlers here, like, because they're gonna have to take plane flights out of here today too. So if we see any of them, they're gonna be just as dog shit tired as we are. And we got there really early. We sat down and we saw one wrestler who was sitting at like a seat like 10 away from us, and I was like, "Oh, that's so and so." And we went over and talked to him for a little bit, and he was super nice and actually asked us if we could do a photo because I didn't want to be rude for that, but
Right.
at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, but so we got a picture with him and then we sat down and I just counted and I think I ended up at like 10 or 11 wrestlers I saw like walk
Ah,
by to their
that's
gates
awesome.
because we had like the first or second gate down the only hallway they had. So it was pretty fun. We saw like the Young Bucks and Christian Cage was walking past us like all grumpy and I think he's always grumpy, but anyway. But it was fun. Yeah, that was super fun. And then the actual pay-per-view itself was awesome. We got to see the re-debut, I guess. Now he's full-time in America for the first time in his career, but a guy named Will Ospreay. I got to show you some videos of this guy, Brett. He's like if you took like a WCW, WWE video game wrestler and made him a real person. Like that's what this guy is essentially. Like I can't even understand how he gets his body to like function the way it functions. Like it's insane. And his match was great. We were on our feet the whole time. The guy he fought against actually was the guy I talked to at the airport. Konosuke Takeshita is his name, Japanese guy, which is fun because we had an in because we're going to Japan this summer. So I was telling him like, oh, we're going to Japan and stuff. And he's like, oh, where are you going? And so that was kind of cool. So,
Nice.
and then Sting's last match, holy shit, it was emotional. I didn't cry as much as I thought I would, but it was funny because like they brought out their opponents and then they brought out Sting's tag team partner, Darby Allin, and then before Sting came out, they like put the arena to black and they played this video, and the video was essentially Sting in a theater by himself watching a movie of all of his career, essentially. And then he like said it's showtime for the last time or something like that at the end, and then everybody was like, oh,
Yeah.
and then they started playing his theme music. Well, then this is the part where it's actually funny because since we were there in person, they started playing his theme music, and out walks blonde hair surfer Sting. And our section was like going fucking nuts because we were like, oh, because there were rumors that people wanted him to like shave his head down and like go back to the blonde guy for one
Yeah.
more match. And like from where we were at, which was, like half a football field away from where he was at,
Mm.
we were like, holy shit, he did it. And like it was all amazing and stuff. And then it was about it seemed like 5 seconds, maybe it wasn't, but then Wolfpack Sting walked out on the opposite side, and we were like, wait, what's going on right
Oh,
now? And it turns out they were his two sons, which
that's awesome.
yeah, they had been on TV once, like last week or before that or something, but I didn't know they were gonna do that, and it was weird, man. Like his sons looked uncannily like him with the face paint on, and
Hmm.
I heard afterwards that it was his actual ring attire that he still had from like the 80s, 90s and stuff.
Cool touch.
So yeah,
Nice.
super cool. And then he came out in the traditional black and white face paint in the middle, and then they all walked down. And then the match was just insane. I mean, I don't even know what to go into there, but Sting did all the Sting things and like Superman hulked up on everything that happened to him. And they broke I think 3 panes of glass during the match, two of which kind of flew into the audience, but that's okay. His tag partner ripped his back open in like 60 spots. Like it was insane. He jumped off a ladder that was in the ring, did a moonsault, and landed on a pane of glass that was being held up by steel chairs. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
It's pretty cool though. They had Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat there as his manager and the official guest timekeeper. And then they didn't show him on screen, I guess, because of some deal with their contract with the WWE as legends, but we saw walk past us, Diamond Dallas Page and Lex Luger walk past, and I think there were one or two other people too. But it was super cool. Like I was so happy I was there for it. It was totally awesome. Great present
Yeah,
from my wife. So
that sounds like a really awesome experience.
it was super cool. I gotta say, yeah. I was I was pretty happy with the whole experience. I didn't get a lot of sleep the whole time we were there, but it was pretty cool. So absolutely. Well, that's the episode, everybody, and hope you enjoyed that. No, actually, we're here to talk about a movie, and typical fashion here. I don't exactly remember how we chose this movie. I might have suggested
Yeah,
it,
I think you
but
suggested just randomly.
it's kind of a weird one. It's not really a classic or crap because it's only 2 years old, but it's also like not new, so it's kind of a
It's not a new
weird,
release. Yeah.
it's a weird middle ground. But anyway, on Netflix, we found the movie X, full title. There it is. Which is well, really, it's like a slasher horror movie, but done up as if it were a adult film, basically, which I guess is probably where the title's coming from here.
Mm.
Okay, well, let's talk about this little film, shall we? So, before we get into the details of the film, I had some time recently, so I was just pulling up some notes here, and looks like this is a little divisive, I will say, in that IMDb has it at a 6.5 out of 10, but yet on Rotten Tomatoes, this actually has a 94% fresh.
Hmm.
Audience score is only a 75 on this one, though. So I forget always how Rotten Tomatoes calculates, but would that mean the critics liked it more than the audience? Is that what that's saying?
Yes.
Okay. So. And just to take a one-liner here off IMDb, it says in 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas, but when their reclusive, elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast find themselves fighting for their lives. So this has got everything you could want in a movie. Death,
It's about
sex, it's got it all.
alligators.
Yes, even alligators. Could have used Betty White, but
Yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah. A little late for that.
yeah, I suppose. Pretty small cast in this one as well, we should say. I mean, there's maybe 12, 14 people total, I think, on the IMDb casting credit page. But really, there's only seven primary actors, actresses here, which we'll go into in just a second. This is 106 minutes long. It had a $1 million budget and made $15 million back at the box office. So I guess a success for what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's mad with the 15 times return. So, as mentioned, small cast here. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. Officially, the star of this film is an actress by the name of Mia Goth, which I was not familiar with prior to this, I will say. I don't know if you
Yeah, I don't
know.
know that I've seen her in anything else.
Okay. And it was funny because I just realized this, and then Brett proceeded to kind of say the same thing. We didn't realize that she played two roles in the film.
Yes.
That's not obvious, I don't
Which
necessarily think.
which makes one of the scenes even more awkward now, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
How
yeah.
does that? Hmm. So she's playing a character named Maxine, who is essentially a stripper turned wannabe adult film star here, wannabe celebrity, I guess. She has dreams of like the big screen, big world type thing.
Yeah. Basically Paris
Um,
Hilton.
yeah, she's not in this, I don't think. And then also she plays Pearl, who is the elderly lady who owns the, let's call it, farm that they're staying at. We'll talk plenty about Pearl here in a little bit. Jenna Ortega, um, who I would say for my money was probably the big star of this film. I was a little kind of surprised she
Yeah.
was in this as
Yeah,
well.
biggest name.
Yeah, I think so. Plays a character named Lorraine. She is essentially kind of a shy. She's not really frowning at the adult industry, but doesn't really get it, I think. Like, doesn't really
It's yeah, it's kind of like new to her.
see the value or the art of it, I guess, all is her boyfriend's going to say here. We have Brittany Snow, another actress I don't think I'm familiar with, at least off the top of my head.
I actually went through the whole movie not knowing it was her until the credits were rolling, and I was like,
Okay.
"Oh,
So what do you know her for? Is she from something else you know?
I think I would say, at least for me, she's probably most well known as one of the actresses from the Pitch Perfect movies.
Oh, really? Okay.
The redhead.
Okay. I haven't seen the Pitch Perfect movies.
Yeah, it's like I got one of those weird things where like you change somebody's hair and like take all their clothes off. Like I just don't recognize them anymore. So I had that going on.
That's hilarious. She's playing a character named Bobby Lynn here, who's I don't know if you'd say the star of the adult film. I guess they're both her and the other girl both kind of the star, but this is she has the majority of the nudie scenes, I would say, maybe when you put it
Yes.
that way. All right, and then we have four gentlemen here to round off our cast of eight, which is seven actors and actresses. Um, I didn't know this one either, but if you are a mid 2000 to late 2000s rap fan, rapper Kid Cudi, also known here as Scott Miss Cudi, plays Jackson, but his name's not Jackson. What was his full name?
Oh,
It's uh it's a it's a
oh, what was
funny
that?
word. It's like a play on words here.
Yeah.
Jackson Hole,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Good poor name.
I find it interesting they make the guy named Jackson Hole, but that's kind of weird. But anyway, um, and then yeah, so he's one of the main stars in the adult film, and then we have Wayne, who is Martin Henderson in real life. He's kind of the director slash ringleader, I guess, of this whole project. The
It's
guy who
Matthew McConaughey from Wish.
is, there you go. The guy who totally got clearance from this farmer to do exactly what they were doing when they went down there, for sure. All right, and then we have RJ is the cameraman slash filmmaker with the vision of what it can be. This is RJ, played by Owen Campbell. This is Jenna Ortega, Lorraine's boyfriend, at least for a while. Well, maybe up to the end, I guess. Kind of depends how you look at it, but
Depends how you look at that. Yeah.
yeah. And then an actor named Steven, I don't know, Uri as Howard. Howard. Not that Howard. This is the old farmer who owns the land, Howard. So that's basically our cast. I mean, there's some very,
Mm.
very minor roles as well, a couple police people here and there. But essentially it's the eight roles, as said, surprisingly played by seven people. Didn't realize that. And that's kind of our one line overview of what's going on here. So let's jump into this. Oh my gosh. Um, I don't even know. I mean, I literally knew nothing about this film as I picked it up and probably read like a one-line synopsis and was like, slasher movie where they're making adult film sounds good to me. Let's do it. Had you
Yep.
heard of this before, or was this totally off your
Um,
radar? I feel like
I
you peruse Netflix more than me, so I feel like you might have seen something here.
it had come across on my my page at one point, and I actually my wife had watched at one point, I don't know what I was doing. I was probably recording a podcast. she she had watched like three-quarters of it, had not finished it, um, but yeah, so she was more familiar with it than I was.
Okay. Well, I have a sketch through of the movie plot wise, although there's not a deep plot here. Like we're not,
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of need to get into that.
yeah. I mean, the one liner at the top basically is like one of the three lines you could probably do the whole plot summary in, but essentially they didn't tell this farmer what they were using his little cabin on the property for, in the barn for, and then he and his wife find out, and then they decide to. Well, I'm not really sure, I guess. I was gonna say like take the Lord in their own hands, but that doesn't seem to be the case either. So they just decide to
No,
straight up kill these
yeah,
people.
it seems to be a bit deeper than that by the end. Because
Yeah.
it seems to be not the first time they've done this.
Yeah, good point. Okay. Well, let's do a couple highlights here as we go through at least. First thing I wrote down is I actually really did like how they started the film, which was with the officers showing up at the farm and like we as the viewer see that they are finding something when they get to the farm, although we're not really
Hmm.
shown what it is that they see, which I thought that was pretty not new, but I thought it was a clever way to start the film.
Yeah, I that it is an enjoyable way to it as I say, it's not a new thing. And there's and a fair number of movies that do that where it's they kind of give you a glimpse of the end right at the very beginning. But I do enjoy seeing that. Yeah, kind of it sets a tone of like, okay, here's what might be coming up. How's
Yeah.
this gonna play out? So
Let's see. There's some pretty early on some weird connections here. Just fucking see, made even weirder now that I know it's the same actress. Like, what is happening in this? The old lady at the house here, Pearl, and then Maxine, who was for sure giving me a new look in overalls, that's for sure. Um, the wife is basically, I don't want to say like under house arrest, but like the husband's like kind of t seemingly like telling her to not go in certain places or other people shouldn't interact with her.
yeah, trying
And
to
he,
protect her
yeah, he went
as
to
a way.
like the store or something. I
Yeah, he
forget.
goes up by himself.
Yeah. And then the wife, like, really without talking, like coaxes one of these girls from the porn film to go up to the house and like, but she like pour lemonade or something.
Yep, they had lemonade.
Oh, yeah, they have the lemonade. And then that was like a
The
really
guy comes home and
fun.
he's like, "There's two glasses here."
Oh yeah, that was fun too. Even before that though, there's like a really fun like juxtaposition with like the old lady serving the lemonade while they're filming in the cabin and they're like filming the lemonade scene in the cabin of like Jackson
Uh,
Hole's like stopping and what's it called like the farmer's daughter or something it's
yeah, that's
called
the name of the movie. Yeah.
that they're moving. So it's like you see the same scene playing out, pouring the lemonade and drinking the lemonade. It's pretty funny. All right, what else we got here? Yes, we get our first scene of several in the movie involving a certain pond they have on the property,
Right.
where there is a gator. And I think this first one was the blonde. Is that correct? I think the.
Um,
Oh,
I think I'm trying to remember. I think maybe it was Maxine was the first one who like goes down by the edge of the pond.
okay.
But
Whichever girl it is, I just wrote down that I really enjoyed the way they shot that film. Like you assume, it's too early in the movie that it's going to happen, but the
right.
gator's like closing in on her as she's like very casually swimming back to the dock and
Yeah, there's some good tension there.
basically like gets out just as the gator would have eaten her. But they did a really nice job of like because I feel like that is like shot from overhead, so you like get a good perspective of like the dock and where she's at and then the
See how
gator.
fast it's closing on. Yeah.
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 And there were actually a few times in the movie where for like a slasher attempted porn movie, there's some pretty good camera work and like inventive shots with this, I would say.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
All right, what else do we have here? As we get to know the wife of the farmer a little more here, the wife of the house, Pearl, I just thought she was creepy as hell. I don't know.
Yes. did a they did good a really good job of making that character very unnerving. Um,
Yeah.
which that was something I wrote down here is that uh it's an it's an odd thing that um for at least for me is feels true is that it you can have old people in a movie um somehow being scarier than like a young athletic person.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't they're not as nearly as physically imposing, but somehow they they just have a sense of like this person could be like insane or they just simply don't care anymore and they're just like I'm just going out with a bang. Just
Yeah.
willing to do anything. So yeah, it definitely came across in this movie as a very unnerving character.
I didn't know either till, like I said, I was doing the research for this. Apparently, there is a subgenre, which I had not even heard of this before. There's a subgenre of horror called the Psycho Biddy film, Biddy, wherein old ladies are apparently the killer slash monster.
Nice. Okay.
Was not aware of that. Okay, let's see. We got some more scenes going on here with the adult film that they're shooting, which P.S. That was a pretty hot film they were shooting. I'm just gonna put that out there too.
Okay. Yeah.
Not too shabby, not too shabby. All right, I gotta ask this. This is gonna maybe jog your memory. What did you think of the moment that the movie all but came to a stop when they started singing "Landslide" by Fleetwood Mac?
That was one of the first big like notes that I wrote down was that I actually thought that scene was like really great. Like it was to that point, that was pretty far in the movie already at that point, like over half an hour into the movie.
Yeah, probably
And
for sure.
it was uh it was very different. Like it actually felt like a very well shot, like quality scene, much more artistic than the rest of the previous bit of movie had been. Um, and I mean, to be fair, we're talking about Landslide here. Fleetwood Mac, an amazing song. You can
Hmm
just slap that on top of almost anything and instantly make it better. Um, but this felt like really good. And you've got Brittany Snow singing, and she, I say she's was in the Pitch Perfect movie, so she's already known
Oh,
for
okay.
singing well, and really did a great job. I thought like knocked it
Yeah,
out of the
it
park.
was pretty
So
well done. It was pretty well done. So we have basically the crew is kind of like stopped having like this moment while the song is being sung. Then back at the house, we have these scenes of Pearl looking at herself in the mirror, and I don't know if it's our first hint, but we definitely are picking up on something to do with like this old lady has some sort of want or motivation of like wanting to be young and beautiful, like the
mm,
people she's seeing in the cabin that are shooting the movie here. So, but enough of that. We need a death. Let's get into this
we
here.
do at this point, yes.
Yeah, we need a death here. So,
There's been action, but not of the violent kind.
yeah, this is true. There's been banging, but not okay. Anyway, we have our buddy RJ, the filmmaker, who I forget exactly what, but he was like trying to help her get back to the house or something, I think, or
Yeah, he was like trying to leave, and she was like in front of the
oh,
vehicle.
that's what it was. Yes. Pretty gruesome death here, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, she nearly chopped his head off with a switchblade.
Quite a few strikes of the knife, that's for sure. One
Yeah,
website I was on claimed it was 23. I didn't count, but it was
I
a
didn't either.
lot.
I
Like
could
you
have added up
said,
to 23.
basically was decapitated here, um, which puts our first official body count for our score here at Pearl 1 so far.
I did that too. I wrote
Keeping keeping track.
that's yep. Granny's up 1-0.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. So I didn't fully know exactly what was going on with the granny yet at this point because there was like this mirror scene and things like that, and then like the weird interaction with Maxine. But then I started to think here, like, is like murder the sex for this lady? And so like that's how
Mm,
she gets off is like by killing people. Because she definitely seemed to relish ripping poor RJ's head off here.
yeah. And then after that, she does that like that little dance scene
Oh yeah.
with the with the blood on the headlights of the vehicle. So like everything's like washed out and red.
Oh,
And
that's right.
yeah, that was a pretty wild. It, well, it was like there wasn't a lot, it was just literally she was just dancing in
Yeah.
front of a vehicle, but so it wasn't like a lot going on, but it definitely had a vibe that was yeah, it was it had some feeling there.
Agreed. Well, not too long after this, we have our second death, which is as I think Maxine had asked Wayne to go help look for RJ is how this one started.
Maybe, yeah, I'm honestly I'm not certain what he was in the barn for.
or not Maxine, Jenna Ortega, Lorraine, Jenna Ortega's character
Yeah, that would make sense. I
had
think.
asked Wayne to go
Go
look,
look
and
for
he
RG.
was like, "Bah, bah, bah, fine." Bah, bah, bah." Yeah, so he goes around like half dressed looking for RJ, goes into the barn. I thought the scene where he stepped on the nail was pretty well done.
Yes,
Because I mean, it's just focused on that nail head, and you just like
and you know it's
see,
coming.
oh,
What was funny? I wrote it down. I don't know what it says about me personally, but this stepping on the nail and then what happens to him after that gave me way more of a reaction than RJ getting his head chopped off with a knife. I cringed so hard when he stepped on the nail. I was like, even though I knew it was coming.
yeah, it's lucky it wasn't a Lego.
Right.
No, it looked pretty good. I mean, I don't know if that was, I don't know how you do that. Maybe that's a retractable nail. It didn't look like CGI.
Mm,
It seemed like this was mostly practical, and with the budget, I
yeah.
assume this is practical. Actually, I was reading about the RJ death. Apparently, they had a actor laying on the ground, and then his torso and head were actually buried under the ground, and then they had a fake head and shoulders
Oh,
above it that,
okay.
yeah, so he could like twitch his legs and stuff, but pretty cool.
Ah,
So yeah, so he steps on this nail, and then he's still looking, and then he like, I forget, heard or saw somebody far away, and there's like these holes in
yeah.
the side of the barn, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy?
Why? Why? Like it's very stereotypical horror movie. Why the F are you
Yeah,
doing that?
this part, that one of like maybe of all of them kind of bothered me just because it was like
Very
there's
tropey.
yeah, but like they're like within the context of the world of the movie, like why are these holes in the barn there? Like when he looks through it, spoiler, he basically gets like pitchforked through the
Yeah.
eye.
Four holes perfectly spaced so a
Why
pitchfork
were
could
those
was
there? Pearl was like, I had those there for 40 years. Finally, they paid off. It just didn't really make sense, but
yeah,
still a gruesome death. But Wayne's dead.
absolutely.
2 points for Pearl.
Yep, she's up 2-0.
Yep.
At that
Uh,
point, I actually thought that they were going to make Grandpa Howard like an innocent bystander in this whole thing.
mm. Well,
I was
yeah,
like,
because yeah,
I thought he was just going to be like completely like just a nice guy, even though at that point he'd been like shown as being, just
yeah,
like pretty standoffish and whatever. But
yeah. But he did seem to be like totally like trying to protect my wife, stay away from my wife. She gets crazy sometimes.
right.
So it definitely could have happened. But I don't know where we're gonna get Jackson Hole entering the picture next. That's right. Action Jackson Hole, as his friends called him. That's not true. All right. Hey, did you know Jackson had was in the military? I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did,
They,
yes.
they do say it like 7 times, just in case you missed that. Um, Now Pearl's missing, so now Howard, the old farmer, is trying to find his wife, and Jackson Hole says, "I'll help you find your wife." And then this was a good scene as well, just because they're down by the pond, and honestly, again, like kind of subverted expectations here. With I'm like, oh man, like they didn't find her, and then he sees
Mm,
a flashlight in the water.
for sure, it's gonna be the Gator.
Yep, but he goes in,
Sure,
gets the flashlight, and
sure
nope,
wasn't.
sure wasn't. He gets out and shotgun blast.
Yeah, Grandpa was not holding back there. He's just no hesitation, just ow right in the chest.
Yeah, I think I wrote down this quote here. He's like, "I know exactly what's going on." Was that to like, was that about the film they were making, or was he like
Or what his
insinuating
wife's
that
doing.
Jackson's going after his wife? I don't know what's going on here. We got dialogue. Either way, Howard's on the
Yeah,
scoreboard, one
yeah, he
point.
is. He's catching up.
So I thought that was interesting. I mean, typically you do have like the lady or a lady live longer in a horror film, but I was kind of weirded out by the fact that they killed off all of the men
Right away. Yep.
and we still had all the ladies, which,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, your core audience probably is okay with that, but
Yep, I would
still.
imagine so.
Here we go. I don't exactly remember how Jenna Ortega's character Lorraine ended up in the basement. Do you remember that? Of the house?
Uh she
Oh, he sent her
she
down there for
yes,
something.
she went into the house or went towards the house and Howard like basically like yeah, said, "Hey, I don't know if
Like for a
he's
flashlight or
yeah,
something,
like
maybe?
come down here and look for a flashlight in the basement for me." Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So she goes down there and he basically locks her in the basement. And I don't have any other notes if anything happened after that, but right up to the point where basically she was like trying to break through the basement door. And I think it was Howard, wasn't it? Or was it Pearl?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, Howard
Howard?
where like breaks her knuckles.
Yeah, that was gruesome as hell too, man.
Mm,
Like I don't remember if it was a hammer or what, but like she basically like breaks a hole in the door and sticks her arm through to unlock it and like, well, bam,
yeah.
eats it. That was nasty angles those fingers were at. It's pretty cool though. All right. Well, she's gonna sit in the old basement for a while because now we're gonna head back out to the pond again. Oh yeah. And we are gonna get our gator payoff finally here. Took long enough. I don't remember. Did she just push her in? Is that how she got there?
Yeah, so like uh Brittany Snow's character, whatever her name is,
Bobby
B
Lynn.
Bobby Lynn, that's what it is. Um yeah, like basically saw Pearl out at the dock and like said, went out to say, "Hey, can I help you, old lady? Are you all right? Take care of you." And then yeah, basically uh Pearl like she said something like offensive towards her and then yeah, ended up pushing her in the water.
And then we get our gator death. So does that count as a pearl point or a gator point? That's tough.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, I think I have to get that to Pearl.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So pearl's at 3.
I think the alligator is just a weapon
Okay.
at
Oh,
that
that's
point.
good. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all through this film, we had a little subplot here, which has not played out yet, but this is Pearl basically asking Howard to have sex with her through this whole movie. And
She's a little
Howard
thirsty.
continually saying, no, my heart's gonna give out. And now we're gonna get the scene that audiences will be talking about for a long time.
Heck yeah, we did.
I wonder if this is where your wife turned the movie off. Did you ask for
I
sure?
did. Um,
Interesting.
I yeah, I don't think she made to that point actually.
Okay, so we have Maxine, Mia Goth's character, hiding under the bed while Pearl is looking for her, and then Howard, or what, I forget, Pearl or Howard, one of the two is looking. And here we finally have, in the middle of all this chaos and bloodshed on the farm, no less, mind you. I guess
Hmm.
that was the little blue pill, I guess, for Howard here. And
Something's gotta get it up.
yeah, exactly. So fresh off the "You know I don't like blondes" line by Pearl down at the pond, here we're gonna get the classic "Fuck me, Howard" line. And
Yeah,
then we get them having sex while she's under the bed.
it's the best geriatric sex scene I've ever seen.
Probably, yeah. I mean, really was something. See if we can find that sound clip later and just maybe make that my ringtone. What is that? Nothing. Well, while that's happening, Maxine is able to sneak out of the room, sliding on her hands and knees. Well, actually, she's kind of crawling, armor crawling almost. Okay, and then we're gonna get like a series of shit that happens really fast here to kind of
Yeah, it
finish
does.
finish up this film. Holy crap. So I believe how this plays out is Maxine helps Lorraine get out of the basement finally by opening the door for her. But like immediately after that, Howard is there and Lorraine doesn't like hide around the corner like Maxine does essentially, and Howard basically like blasts her with the shotgun.
Yeah, that was what I this was one that a point where I actually like laughed out loud at the movie. Yes, Howard, he yells, "I told her to stay in the damn cellar," as if as if staying in the cellar would have been a better option.
Yeah,
But
right. Oh yeah, I wouldn't even mention the fact that she finds like a guy hanging from the beams in the cellar.
yeah, Pearl's previous victim. Yeah,
So, as you said, not the first time this has happened. So, I gave the point for Howard here for killing Lorraine, even though she's not quite done yet.
mm,
Because right afterwards, she like does her final death gasp for air, which scared Howard and gave him the heart attack finally. That's been referenced all movie and kills him. So if I'm scoring this, 2 points for Howard, 1 point for Lorraine, but now they're both
yep,
gone. So that's gonna clinch Pearl the victory in this one.
it does, it really does.
But we got one more yet here, which is basically Pearl tries to use the shotgun again on. Well, actually, it's the first time she used it, I guess, because I guess Howard used it the other 2 times.
Right.
And Pearl's wiry little frame can't handle the blast of the shotgun.
It's
Her,
either the most powerful shotgun on the planet,
yeah, right.
or she weighs 2 pounds.
She might weigh 2 pounds. But essentially, the shotgun blast blows Pearl all the way out of the house into the dirt
It
and
breaks her
breaks her
hip,
hip, which is just a great line.
as
I mean,
as grannies tend to do.
that's fantastic. So she's like basically stuck because she can't move without her hip, I guess. And Maxine runs out, hops in the car, and backs over Pearl, smashing her skull a few times.
Just like a melon.
Gets on the road again. And then, so that's basically, well, that's kind of their part, I guess. But what did you think of the moment then? I hadn't connected it. I don't know if anybody was supposed to or not, but then they like get back to another element that's like a through line in this is in the farmer's house, we have this televangelist basically who has been preaching, different things
Yeah,
here and
he's been
there.
on the TV throughout the entire show.
Which I just kind of assumed was like some kind of religious overtone that was kind of going on in this. Like, I feel like Rob Zombie or somebody would do the same type of thing in their movie and just have like clips of some old timey televangelist or something.
Right. Yep. I would say the same thing.
But then he says at the very end, like he's looking for his daughter Maxine, and I'm like, whoa, what?
It was an interesting twist. Yeah.
I didn't even know that was like supposed to be the same time period. I thought that was like a older thing. I don't know. That was weird. I didn't see that coming. I'm not sure
Right.
what to make of that.
That's true. That the clips on the TV, well, first of all, it was in black and white, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I think it was, but
So I mean, you could, easily say that, well, these old people on this farm just had an old black and white TV, I suppose.
yeah.
But it definitely felt like it was much older. And he, this is this 1979 is when this takes place.
Yep.
And the dude looked like he was out of the 50s.
Yeah, agreed.
So
Absolutely agreed.
yeah, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, but I like that slight twist. There was, yeah.
It was fun because we really had a pretty straightforward movie prior to that point. So,
Mhm.
and then we get to the end credits here, which I don't recall what they looked like. I just said that they looked awesome when I took my notes down. I don't know if they were like grainy 70s looking or can't remember what they look
I
like.
don't recall. Yeah.
And then we get, I guess before that, we get the cops back in basically present day arriving at the house to like connect us back to the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. And give us one last cheesy line at the end.
Oh yeah, what do they say at the end?
They find the video camera, and the one cop's like, I wonder what's on this.
Oh,
And the sheriff or whatever, he's like, well, whatever's on there, I'm sure it's like the worst horror movie you've ever seen or something to that effect.
That's funny. Now another thing I didn't catch here is I didn't even think about this, but I saw this on IMDb when I was just over there beforehand too. And it says the film has no opening credits to it either. And the only time the movie title even comes on is at the very end for the end credits. Like it's not even
Okay.
so again, kind of
Yeah, it's true. I don't remember seeing anything at the beginning.
artsy, but kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. And then we'll come back to that in a second, I guess. Well, let's do that now, I guess. So even though it looks like they shot this in like the South, Texas or someplace, but actually it was shot in New Zealand, which is a weird
Hmm.
place for this. But while they were down there, I guess they shot this, sounded like early COVID time, and they were like leaving to the film was done essentially, and they had an idea for and shot a prequel right away. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Uh-huh. So Mia Goth is the same girl here again. So the prequel to this is called Pearl, which is out, came out like the same year.
Oh,
But
okay.
it is like that lady's story when she was young. And I
Gotcha.
guess I read, I don't have it on here now, but I guess I read, I think it takes place on like the same farmhouse also. So, and supposedly this is supposed to be a trilogy. They have shot the third movie, which is supposed to take place in 1981. And that movie's called Maxine with three X's in the middle, of course, to
Of
continue our
course.
thread here. And but it was done in 2023 and it hasn't come out yet that I can tell. So
Hmm. Interesting.
I don't know what that
Okay.
means,
Yeah,
but
I'm really interested in how they would continue that story.
oh, it does say it's coming out on July 5th of this year.
Okay.
So this is I don't know where that's going, but same characters, just a year and a half, 2 years later, I guess. So there's that.
Hmm.
All right.
It's just a straight up porn.
Just gave up at this point. Let's do it. Yeah, all right. So I don't know. Like, did this just strike you as a standard fare slasher movie? Do you think they were like trying to say something more beyond that here? I feel like he really wanted us to take a lot out of the Pearl character.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I think that character was supposed to be pretty like very interesting and kind of thought provoking. Like you want to know more about her and her story. Um, obviously they did the prequel about her, so
Yeah.
it seems like they were leaning into that. It I mean, I don't think that they gave us enough to really make that something more to give the movie more than just being a pretty standard slasher movie.
Yeah, I don't know if this is, there were some creepy moments we didn't mention too, but like these scenes are tripping me out now that I know it's the same actress for real. I just keep thinking about these now. Because wasn't that the girl? That was the girl she like climbed in bed with, right?
Yes, it was.
What the fuck? How does that? Okay. Yeah, so there's a scene where Pearl basically climbs in bed with Maxine while she's sleeping and like starts rubbing her skin and stuff and like snuggling
Yeah,
up to her and
like putting some moves on her.
she seemed to be very caught up in like having the smooth skin of the kids and stuff, but I don't know again that it's enough to like make it mean more than just a plain.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty standard, I would think, for an elderly person to want to be young again.
Yeah. So I don't even know. I mean, I guess Howard was still attracted to Pearl, so I guess there's maybe again it's like a beauty in the eye of the beholder thing, or
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Or maybe the director is just trying to say porn's good cinema. I'm not sure. Could be any of these things. It's definitely not a deep movie, I don't think by any stretch, but
No.
enjoyable. I mean, it's a short, well, it's what I say, hour and 106 minutes. Wow, didn't feel that long.
Mm.
to be quite frank. But anyway, I don't know. So score this puppy up. Let's see. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was couple good deaths in there. Uh, Never gonna complain when a film's trying to shoot an adult film in the middle of a slasher movie.
Right.
That's okay. Um, like I said, there were like some artsy shots, and I do recall like music being good. I know we mentioned Landslide. I feel like there were other points where there was like good musical moments. I can't recall exactly what there were or where in the movie they were. I know there were some other songs used as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. In those early scenes where they're like driving to the farm, they were playing. There was at least two or three other
Hmm.
songs they used there, I think.
Yeah, we got here. Uses Summertime or In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry. Act Naturally by Loretta Lynn. Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue Oyster Cult. And
Right.
then the Landslide performance, and then a bunch of instrumentals as well here. So, um, it was fun. I enjoyed the time with it. I don't think it was anything overly special, but it was fun. Kind of a different, like, I don't know that I've seen many, though I realize it's a thing. I don't know that I've seen many movies where like the old couple are the killers and like
Mm.
damn near come close to killing all the young people off. Um, Minus the one that got away here. But so I had fun with it. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10, probably somewhere
Okay.
right in there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would my thoughts on it are pretty similar. I think it was the draw of this was I think they're I would imagine when they were starting to like brainstorm this movie, they're like, okay, we want to make a horror movie. It's going to be like a slasher, lots of blood and guts, gore. How can we spice this up? Let's make it a porn also. Sold. All right, let's do that. And those. I mean, honestly, those two, for the type of audience, probably really enjoys slasher movies, probably doesn't have any qualms about having a bunch of sex in a movie as well. So those two seem to just kind of flow together fine. Um, and yeah, I would. The one thing I would say is like it. I actually wrote it down. It was like a 50 minutes. We were 50 minutes into the movie before
Oh
we get
no.
any violence.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's basically like drama, just kind of drama, and we do have like a sex scene or two before that. So there's that kind of action going on. But it was a little long uh for the story not being very in depth. There was a lot of it before we got into the horror part.
Yeah.
Um so
Which is
um
funny because not a lot was happening.
mhm. Yeah, they literally were just basically like driving to the farm
Yeah.
and like setting up and getting ready to shoot the movie. Um so but yeah, I wouldn't there isn't a lot here that I would say is like unique for a horror movie. Um Even the deaths, um there's nothing really unique about any of those other than uh I mean, the pitchfork's been done before, I think, as well. Perhaps
Yeah.
not straight into the eyes that way, but I would say everything else in the movie has been done before. Um, it, but overall, I enjoyed it. I think it was it was pretty fun. Not a great like well conceived movie or like original, um, but solid. I probably would give this Um, yeah, like a 6.5. It's probably worth watching if you like horror movies. Um, but I was expecting granny boobs and got no granny boobs, so I had to dock it a couple points there.
Yeah. No
Um,
doubt.
but I gave it a couple extra points because it is a better love story than The Notebook. So there's
Yeah.
that. They kind of cancel each other out there.
Yeah, this movie at least had an emotional voyage, not like that movie. So
Yeah, exactly.
wow. Uh yeah. That's about all I can say on that. That's a pretty simple movie, but like you said, probably you probably would enjoy it. Honestly, like this particular type of movie, minus one or two parts, I don't even think us like describing the whole movie really is going to change your enjoyment of it all that much, to be
Right.
quite honest.
You could just read the entire script and like spoil the whole thing, and it's not gonna like, yeah, not gonna dampen your enjoyment of the movie. I don't think at all.
Yeah, kind of agree. I would say like I probably would be curious enough to like check out the prequel and like see what
I
that's
would,
all about.
yeah, I might be interested enough into just at least seeing what that's about.
Before we make our big trip to the theater in July to go watch the third movie in the series here. Um, okay, let's see. Let's go check this out quick here. And ooh, they're playing hardball with us here. Seeing where the prequel is streaming currently, but
Mhm.
looks like Showtime, Hoopla, Fubo, DirecTV, Canopy, Roku. That is it for free. Well, free, assuming you have all those subscriptions. Otherwise, Prime Video for $3.99, Microsoft $4.99, Apple TV $4.99.
It's surprising it's not also on Netflix.
Yeah, actually.
You would think it would have been like a package deal. You're like, you
Yeah,
made one movie,
honestly.
make another movie. So,
It's got 4.5 stars on this website
hmm.
on Decider. I don't know.
I don't know how many is that.
Out of five.
Okay.
4.5 out of five. I don't know if that's user reviews or what, but dun, 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 dun. No, I was hoping it would show the rating for the other one here. I was curious if this website is reliable or not. Let's see. Oh, here we go. No, this doesn't immediately go to it either. Darn it. Oh well. Ah, darn. Okay, wait. Here it is. This movie has, ooh, 3.5 stars. Interesting. So they're claiming there's an extra star in that other movie, huh? Intriguing.
Hmm.
Hmm. All right, well, I think that is about it for tonight. Let's put Brett on the spot here because I didn't wasn't on the last episode, so I don't know who got put on the spot there, but if anybody did at all. But
Oh,
Brett, I'm
they
going to
did.
ask you if you are looking for RJ because he's missing. Which
Yes.
character from the film are you taking with you to look in the dark?
Um, I well, I mean, you would say that Jackson was probably the best bet, because he was ex-military
Yeah.
and is not afraid to go outside naked,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that's a factor because he's just not afraid of that. And but he also just doesn't seem to have very good judgment in there. So
Yeah.
I might end up having to take Maxine. She's a survivor. She made it out, so she's
She's
got
a-
some sort of X factor there.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Um, but what if you found out that Maxine was actually really Pearl at the same time?
Well, um, that's the best part because um I would be able to sense how badly she has some womanly needs, and I would use that to my advantage
Oh,
um to get away as quickly as possible. Yes, because um yeah, in and out and gone. That's right.
wow. Okay. That's crazy. What if she played the alligator also? It's possible. It's possible. All right, well, that is a strong recommendation there, ladies and gentlemen, to go watch X, or at least a lukewarm recommendation that you go watch X. But it's free on Netflix, and like Brett said, if you enjoy the genres, you're probably gonna have fun watching this one as well.
Yeah.
All right, that's good to us for tonight, everybody, on the Fawn Pod. This has been Cody and Brett, and we will see you later. Take care.
See y'all next time.